Lewis podcast.
Classic.
All right, we're recording, we are live, we're good to go. Lovely. Got me pen and paper, got everything. Fantastic. Hello,
Hello.
welcome. So, today we have our host, Neri Orlando DRAGON Sesti. We are here at his house. Please introduce yourself.
So, hello, my name's, I go by Dragon for stunts. And I'm from Italy, born in London, like he is. And that's funny being the guy who has to tell.
I know, it's hard, right?
Also,
we just done
I'm the host.
Yeah,
somehow.
exactly. No, it's hard. We just done a podcast where he basically interviews me, and now the roles have changed, buddy. Yeah, I know.
How the turns of
I'm
tables.
chilling right now.
So I'm from Italy. Based home is here, but I travel around Europe for work and training and whatever.
What are the main things you train?
At the moment, I was in London for the last few months, and I was training mainly just gymnastics or tricking because that's where I found most training in London. It was the easiest place for me to meet other performers was in gymnastic centers, so places like TC, Talent Central, or Overgravity, or some other gymnastic centers in and around London.
Nice, yeah.
Also went up all the way up to like Milton Keynes.
Yeah, I've been to a few of those facilities.
And so it's always the easiest place to meet up and train with other stunties.
Yeah.
It's usually the cheapest. It's just an open session. It's a lot of time where you have 2-3 hours where you can just train.
How important do you feel it is to surround yourself with other stunties when you're training?
For me, I think that's the number one thing in everything that I've done so far. I've traveled to quite a few different places and I move around a lot, and the biggest factor on how quickly I'll move on or if I actually stay in somewhere in a place is how cool the people are, whether they feel like training, how motivated they are in filming or in training or sharing what they want to do, wanting to learn new things. So that's always, for me, number one. Absolutely, is the people with which I train with.
No, I agree. And you say you travel a lot because, you've been to Sweden, China, UK, different parts of Europe. What was your favourite?
I think they've all done something quite different. I mean, when I was in Sweden, it was kind of the first show that I ever did. It was like a live stunt show.
What's it called?
The theme park's called High Chaparral, and the show we did was just the Wild West stunt show.
Cool.
So the theme park was the theme was Western, and so we were dressed as cowboys, and it was just a really good time. Otherwise, so there I learned a lot of like my real basics on stunts and like fighting for a show, not for camera, which is slightly different. But was an absolute blast and an amazing first experience. Whereas China was a much more interesting experience because you're very far away from everyone everything's different. General life is different.
Is there a big language barrier?
Yeah, massive. Especially if you're outside of like the main cities, they speak absolutely no English.
No English.
So it was very reserved to the people in the show and hanging out with them. But then also they're tired at the end of the day. They want to do their own thing.
Of course. Yeah.
So you kind of, at the end of the day, you spend a pretty good chunk of time just alone. And if you have tons of social energy and you love traveling, you want to go meet with the locals and you really try and, you can definitely do things.
Yeah.
I was usually also quite tired, and so I ended up learning how to study by myself a little more. And so I found I got to spend more time by myself learning what were the things that I wanted to do, and learned how to like study also just by myself, which is not something I used to do ever.
Do you think that also is an important factor, the mentality side of doing stunts and working in a very competitive industry?
Yeah, I'd say absolutely. I mean, for the China side, or for at least like being on your own, yes, because at least in my nature I'm very social. So if I were to always depend me doing things with other people, then it means I always have to wait to do things, and so then I have to also learn how to do things by myself. And so that was a big obstacle, being such a social, extroverted person in the beginning. Now I'm getting better at it. So if everyone says, no, we don't care, it's like, okay, I'm going to do this thing anyways. So it's being better at finding ways to actually get shit done. Whether you have people with you or not. Yeah. So it's just making things happen. And that's something I've definitely gotten better at over time.
For sure. And the place obviously helps. You said Sweden before at the show. Obviously, that Wild West show. Some of the clips have gone have gone viral on Instagram and social media in general. And it's quite an intense show, performance wise. You've got high falls, gunfights, horses, fire. No.
Not before, but we will implement it. We're going to try and implement it this year.
Sick. And obviously the setup is amazing, and it's just a lot. Obviously, do they audition to be a part of the show?
We do auditions. There is a sense of, if people want to go back, so there's usually people who have done this show before, that benefits us, like Robban, who has been the main coordinator of the show for the last decade, if not a bit more. It benefits him to have some people who have done the show before, because there's quite a lot of things to know. It's also quite specific. There are some things like the wagon falls, which is not something you really train outside of that show. And so having some people that can manage it on their own, and then he just knows, okay, they can do this, I don't have to worry, is of benefit. Because there's a few of us that he knows we can do all the skills needed in the show. We can do the high falls, we can do the wagons, we can do the fights, we can learn things quite quickly. We deal well with the sand. He knows we don't have problems with the costumes. So there's a series of things that he can relax on, and then he'll have usually a few new people that come in and will try out the show.
What are your thoughts on that aspect? Working with someone that you've known for a long time, so you know how you just know how he works, how he thinks, you get along with him, and working with someone new.
There's definitely, so the benefit of working with someone that I know well, so in this case it's like Otto Nihom, who's a legend, which I'm so happy I get to work.
The viral clip in there.
Which I'm super glad I get to work with him again this summer. We work quite well together in the sense we're very similar. We share the same role, so it's easy for us to then think of new things together. We can develop ourselves in the same, together we push each other. When we do fights, we're quite similar, I would say. So which means that we can really, if I have a concept, I know he can keep up with what I want to do. Whereas when you're training with someone new, either if they're more of a beginner, even if they're advanced, it takes that time to kind of, adapt with how they move, how they do things. If they're really experienced, but not in the movie sense, so they've done more shows, or they've just done more actual fighting. So you adjust slightly more to that.
Yeah, because some things can also go full circle, because sometimes you could find yourself in a situation where you're the new guy, and so other people have to accept you and see how you move and everything. So it might reflect on how you behave when you're interacting with another person that you never worked before. I would say, yeah.
Definitely the most important thing when I work with someone new, if they're more of a beginner, is just that they don't mind. It's okay to mess things up. You just try and do better.
Yeah, I mean, we mess up things
exactly
all the time.
and so it's just don't stress, but then just keep pushing, and it's all right. And it's just mistakes will happen.
Yeah.
And it is what it is, and it's just just keep going, just keep pushing. We'll help you, and just as always, you always want to keep up.
Absolutely.
Keep in check your ego, because that's a classic in our industry.
Yeah.
But other than that, then you're good.
And it's so easy to get lost in your ego, because I mean, when you're, at least for me, the first time I got a lot of work and you're traveling and they put you in a fancy hotel and all stuff, it gets comfortable pretty quick, you know what I mean? But you just gotta stay grounded as much as you can. When did you start doing stunts?
Where?
When? Where?
I started, I think, right after high school. So during high school, I had to start figuring out where to go. I had to apply for unis, which I know I didn't want to do, but for my family and for my school, I applied. but I knew I wanted to move. I didn't want to do anything that was on a computer. I liked learning new things, and so kind of delving into which jobs I could do with those criteria would have been either circus or stunts. Circus, at some points you do have to specialize. I like the option of just keep learning new things, which kind of then pivoted me more towards stunts.
Which, to be fair, there's also the argument that someone could say you need to specialize yourself also in stunts. What do you think about that?
I think, yes, in the sense, in the beginning, it definitely helps you getting more your foot in the door. I'm very much trying to... The position I think I would work best in is core team. And for core team's sake, you do have to be pretty good generalist. You do need to, because you're going to be on a project for quite a long time, you do need to be very adaptable. You do need to be able to be with people for a long amount of time. You do need to be able to just, a scene might ask you to do one thing, then another, for another, you're in many different environments and many different scenes. So the more general you are, the better it is.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, when you get into the industry, having that singular skill that gets your foot in the door helps a lot more. That's something I find that I'm struggling a lot more. One of the first things I got told was, I have 1,000 people like you. I'm 5'10", average height, average build. I'm a guy. What makes you special?
Yeah.
Don't really have anything. And so for them, they will just call whoever's best at that specific skill they'll need for that day. Because they have their team. Why should they call some random dude? And so for me now, it's like, even though being a generalist is what I am more naturally gifted at, I am starting to try and figure out which specialty to lean more into.
Nice.
One of them being, for example, horses. Even though I suck at it, it is something less people are in it, and there's a very small number of people that actually can do things on and off a horse.
Mate, and if you can do on and off horse in the stunt business, you're very you have a really big advantage for getting work.
So even this, but it doesn't mean getting working with horses. Having had no experience is quite hard. It's also catch-22 just trying to work with horsing as a groom. Because they want to have they want you to have experience to work with them, but then
you need work.
I need to work with them to get experience, and I'm like
Yeah, that's man, and that's unfortunately some of the things that happen in this kind of business. Yeah. But circling back to when did you start doing stunts? So you were in between circus and stunts, and then you decided to go into the stunt world.
So then
did you go to China after that?
No, so before that I went to this school in Norway because I was looking around Europe for a place where I could train for the longest amount of time. Just my physical abilities, because I feel like I was very much behind. I was like, okay, I want to do stunts. I need to get my fitness level up. I'm just nowhere near what I need to be. For stunts, I need to be an athlete. I'm not an athlete. Definitely wasn't back then. And so this opportunity to go train in Norway, which was not a very good school. I learned everything of what not to do stunt wise, but I made some amazing friends, and I did train for 9 months.
Yeah.
And so I went, we were training every day, and it was just a nice group of people who just wanted to do stuff.
Yeah.
And so the energy was great. And then after that, I managed to get that the summer after I went to High Chaparral for the first time, the Wild West Stunt Show in Sweden. The summer after that, I went to China. After that, I started to delve in more in Italy. I managed to, and this was last year, so I managed to get some movie jobs. So my first real movies I managed to get into last year. And then with that money, I could go to Rome. I managed to train there for a while, meet some more people, kind of get an understanding of the industry in Italy.
Yeah. And that's how we met.
And that's how we met on set.
You just got off from... Because the two movies you mentioned, they're coming out this year. One I believe is the Odyssey and the Dog Stars.
Yeah, the Dog Stars, yeah.
And we met in Matera working on the show The Chosen.
Yeah.
Season 6, which I believe is going to come out next year because they just released season 5, I believe a month ago or something. And that was fun. So hot. It was really hot. But that was cool. We got to crucify Jesus.
Yeah. Put him up and down the cross.
I think we can say that. I don't think that's a spoiler. I mean,
that's a good point.
Are we allowed to say?
That's a good question.
Jesus dies at the end, but guess what? He comes back.
Spoilers. Jesus goes on a cross.
Yeah, bro.
I haven't heard that before.
There were some horses there as well. God, they must have been dying that day.
On top of the hill.
Yeah, on top of the hill. And they were literally... They had no use whatsoever, those horses. They had to stay all day under the scorching sun. It was like June in Matera, south of Italy. So it's fucking like...
Black horses, but 40, I felt bad for the
40 degrees Celsius. And the poor horses were in the background. They were extras. They not even a single shot they were seen. Probably one on the first day.
You know, Monty Python, when it's like, is anyone feel like marching up the square? I felt like that, but just a horse. Just, you know,
yeah, literally.
Right, I will be walking up.
Sure, a minute. Yeah. But that was fun. We got to work with the extras and train the extras. Which that's also another aspect we can talk about, you know, training actors, extras, whoever's needed to do the action sequence. Because sometimes, you know, us as performers, obviously the first job is to actually perform. That's why we're there. But another part of the job is the preparation. So especially now, there's getting more popular, you know, that actors do their own stunts and whatnot. It's definitely a factor to be able to, you know, teach. Or, I mean, you're here to talk about it. What do you think about it? How do you find yourself when you're in that situation, you know, having to explain someone an action sequence? What's your approach?
Definitely taking some time to see where they're at, what their strengths are, what they're not good at, what backgrounds they've had. So if they have more of a dancing background, if they have more of a martial art background, if they have neither. So it's, you know, with different people, you can work with different things. If they pick up choreo easily, great. If they struggle with some movements, not. If they have injuries. So there's a lot of kind of figuring things out. Obviously, if you have the time for it.
Yep.
Sometimes you don't. Sometimes also for example, when we were there in Matera, we were working with extras who hadn't had that much experience on set. And
no one's fault. It's just how it is. Yep.
It's just how it is. And so then, you know, they wanted them to work closer with the actors. So it's just figuring out, like, guys, okay, so we need to manage, because, you know, as stunt performers, we are the safety on set. So both for us, for the actors, for the crew, for whatever's happening.
Yeah.
So just making sure everyone's good. So in this case was, making sure the extras were safe, not doing anything with the actors, not they were doing anything good. So it's just...
How do you handle that pressure? Like, when you're in that moment that, you know, you're the one who has to say something and explain, like, do you feel some sort of anxiety, or you're in the moment and you kind of think about it later?
I feel like I'm pretty good at being in the moment, in the sense of there's quite a funny feeling on set where everyone's kind of pointing fingers.
Yeah.
And so you have, so it kind of makes it, you're in your own bubble, and everyone gets very careful to what is your thing that you have to do, and then you just do that. And so then I just try and do that to the best of my abilities, because that's all I can do.
And that's important, because it's not always easy to, you have to keep yourself reminded, you know.
It was definitely hard in the beginning, because I wanted to help. I just wanted to help, you know. I'm on set if someone's struggling with carrying a box.
Yeah, and it's also a weird situation where you don't want to speak out of turn.
No.
Because it's obviously, there's levels.
There's hierarchy.
There's hierarchy, yeah.
Which is understandable on set.
Yeah, of
there
course.
Are some voices
when you're dealing with 300 people on set, there better be someone who tells people what to do.
Yeah.
I agree with that, for sure.
Absolutely.
Well, we discussed China. Let's talk about horses.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to work on Mobland with Steve Dent.
No,
you got to do a little
Mobland
bit.
was a different. I'll
say that again, because I already got that wrong once. You got to work with Steve Dent with horses. Yeah. How was that? What did you do?
It was sick. So I mean,
how's Steve Dent?
He's fun. He's really, really sweet. He's always been very nice to me. Most of the times I've just worked in the yard, so I started working with them just as a groom, taking care of their horses and helping them out there. I did do one job with them, which was very interesting to see and watch, to see how it's done. Realize how much harder I find working with horses is an actual stunts in terms of schedule, because as a stunt performer, you can go on set, so you get called at a specific time, you get there, you do your day, and then you go home. With horses, you do the same thing, but you have to get the horses ready beforehand somewhere else.
It's living and breathing.
And then you go on set, then you do the full set time, which can be 12 hours, but then you did the 3-4 hours before.
Yep.
And then you finish that, and it can be late, and then you have to go back, take the horses back to where they need to go, make sure they're good, fed, can go to sleep. To then maybe go back on the yard the next morning.
Oh, you gotta love your job in those moments. There you.
And so, and you don't get the same pay as you do with stunts. So there I was working as like horse safety. It was not a stunt job. And
right.
So it was definitely interesting and good to know. And I appreciate I did that, which means that then when I go on set, I'm like, okay, I want to make sure these guys are also okay.
Do you think it's risky doing different jobs within the same industry?
I don't think so. In the sense of, I'm trying to learn, especially because I'm younger, I'm 23. I don't see the problem. And if anyone were to bring it up, I'd be like, I'm just trying to learn these things.
Yeah.
And also, at least within stunts, it's not a problem. If you do stunt utility, stunts, a stunt performer, stunt doubling, like those are different aspects. I think if you're doing horse safety, I find that's still within the same. Extra would be different. In England, you have SPACT. That's also different. I have no problem if you're, for example, in England, if you're up and coming, you do SPACT, extra SPACT, and then get into stunts, that's fine. But then if you then go back down, that can be iffy. Or in the sense of like, I can see why coordinators would be like, huh?
Yeah.
But money is always an issue. And so then I also understand, especially now it's really hard in England with money, but also there's a lot of SPACT jobs because they're also just using SPACT instead of
because they want to save money. So if a SPACT can do what a stunt can do for a particular scene, not because they're the same. Production wants to save money. Yeah. But you got to look at the bureaucracy of it.
But I think why not, in the sense of you still get to be on set, you still get to learn a lot of things. So especially in the beginning, I wouldn't worry too much about it.
Yeah.
But once you get going, then maybe try and have your own world.
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, yeah. So in terms of stunts, Hobbits, injuries? How you doing with injuries?
I've, knock on wood, I must say I've been pretty lucky so far. My main ones have usually been my ankles throughout the years. So far, I tell myself I should be training them more often than I do. I don't, but I should. I did have an injury last year skiing. That happens. So I tore my shoulder and I did something in my back, but they're all good now. Bounced back pretty quickly within
23.
Within a few months, I was back up and running. They said I should be still. I was working like 3 days after that. And I was like, yeah, let's go. I was working up in the mountains. And I was like, yeah, sure.
Oh, that's it. Any other countries you would like to visit? Maybe not just for stunts?
Oh, New Zealand and Japan.
For stunts?
No.
Just for
traveling.
Because it's sick.
I mean, I know New Zealand has like a stunt guild. And if I were to go, I'd definitely check it out and be like, hey, I'm here.
Where would you travel for stunts?
I like Europe. I think there definitely is feels like there's a hole in the market on the network between the European countries, and I feel like there could be something more. I feel like there is a lot of work coming from America and even within Europe. It's just about finding and networking through it. England obviously has a lot of work going through it. It's a bit more difficult with understanding with the BSR and other things, how to actually get work, making sure you do everything correctly. But I think Europe's got quite an interesting market.
Because that's also the thing. There's no rule book on how to do stunts.
Yeah.
I mean, I think pretty much everyone's got a different story.
Yeah, and that's always a weird thing within stunts, is you can't really look anything up, and so that's why I value a lot trying to network and help everyone that I meet. I mean, when I went out to London, I made my own stunt group where I was just adding any stunt performer I met and trained with. Do
you think that could be risky if say other stunt coordinators saw that you were making your own group?
No, because the purpose wasn't to make my own stunt group. It was
to create a community.
It was a community, and that's what it was. And the name, I called it Stunt Hub London.
No, because I think that's a good thing to point out and to make also clear, because.
And it wasn't a group. It's just this is just us performers in London trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, you don't want to get people confused. Absolutely.
And it was more of a platform for people to share. I made it so people can show job postings. I made it so people can just see what's going on if people wanted to train together. It was easier for me there. Now I'm trying to figure out how to keep that going forward, even though I'm not in the country. But I'll figure that out as it goes on.
Right. So I know you don't watch a lot of films.
Mm-hmm.
You're not like a huge film buff, but you've seen quite a few.
Yeah.
I do know you like anime though.
Love anime.
So, do you think it could also be one of the reasons why you decide to pursue this job?
It's one of the reasons I love action, I would say, because my main genre in anime is action.
Because you inspire more from anime than from movies, I would presume.
The sound aspect. So now that I'm getting into editing and I'm enjoying the sound design of things, the anime is more
Thank you for making me check another point.
That's more where I look into. I mean, I do love movies, and where I tend to lean into is more comedy. And as we were speaking before, like I love Jackie Chan and I love that style of fighting, and I just love I'm trying to bring on my own comedy back in some form of fighting, and so that's something I want to work on more of, because I feel like that's more my style and what I love doing. And I grew up a lot of just cartoons as a kid, and you know, like Tom and Jerry's stupid and Roadrunner and all those just funny ass.
There's a cool fight
cartoons.
scene. One of my favourite fight scenes that you shot was the one with the hammer that you did up in Sweden.
Yeah, that was fun.
I'll put a little thingy.
I will definitely work. My goal this summer is to make a lot of those and just bring back a lot of good comedy.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
Because I feel like we can, you know, it's fun, and I find that the people there love it as well. And it's nice when you have a group of people that will understand comedy.
Absolutely. Because obviously you can make a career just out of the country you're living in. But I just think in terms of what the job has to offer, there's definitely more opportunity if you just let yourself be seen in other places, not just through, let's say, social media or whatnot.
I think it really depends on the background that you have, where you are, what languages you can speak, the passports you have matter. I think there's quite a lot of factors in it. I also know that. But
you can get a passport, you know, if you wanted to travel, you can travel.
Yeah, but it can. I mean, I've seen it with other people. It's like trying to get people to work in the UK is not the easiest.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
So it's figuring. It's also like how many people are okay with, you know, traveling, not having a secure income, not having, you know, are you okay with that kind of lifestyle? Are you going to be away from family and friends all the time? So there's bits and pieces where your mental health, how you're built. Some people, you know, born and raised, let's say, in any city, in any country, if you're used to that, you have your circle of friends.
Yeah.
You train well there, you have a good group. That's great. That can work wonders. Me living in Tuscany, I speak 2 languages. I was like, right, I want to train. Where's the best place in Europe to be? Kind of gives me a different reframe. Because if I use Europe as a whole, I mean, like, okay, I can speak these 2 languages, I can travel anywhere, I can work in any of these countries.
Why not?
Why not? And so then I just go with, okay, best case scenario, and then kind of just see what I can find.
No, that's definitely an excellent way to look at it.
But if you like, you know, if you want to do, if you're more specializing, like, okay, I want to do cars, that might bring you into one place more than another. And you know, I know in Madrid there's a group that, you know, just does cars. If you're from Madrid, you like working with cars, you probably wouldn't be traveling all the time. Me being more of a generalist and me just loving to network and meet people, then my nature with my things have just made it so that I just travel.
Yeah. But to be fair, it looks like you're handling things quite positively. Do you find it hard to stay positive?
I definitely have my moments when things are hard.
Right.
But I'm very thankful for, I think, the growing up that I've had, where, like, with my parents and my family, they gave me a very, like, secure, let's say, sense of self, which meant that, like, going out into the world made it quite relaxed. I also got bullied a lot growing up, which meant that, you know, life was much more chill.
Do you also think that's one of the reasons why you also are the way you are? You know, you're a very active person. You're very you like to interact with people. You see things in a positive way. At least as much as you can. You're physical. You know, you know.
I think I appreciate.
You fight. You flip. You know, you horse ride. You do a lot of manly shit.
I would say I'm definitely able to, like, appreciate so much of what I do, and I love what I'm able to do, and I'm very thankful for it, and I just keep pushing as much as I can because I think it's sick.
Yeah, no, that's
just stick to that. I mean, it's doing the simple things is hard. You know, just like eating well, sleeping well, working out. It's amazing how hard those 2 things can be.
Yeah,
consistently.
True. With a smile on your face.
Yeah, but just keeping at it is a big big focus of mine.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. Well, I'll just go over another topic just because I'm curious to see your opinion, and then I'll let you go. AI. Do you use it?
I use it. I mean, I obviously have used it here and there, like ChatGPT or Gemini, or
Right. Yeah, but sorry, I need to
in terms of stunts, I've seen how people have used it so far, and I think it's extremely interesting. I do enjoy the play of it. I don't feel like it's going to take our jobs in that kind of sense. And I do feel like it will just be a tool, like many other things. I think it'll help us enhance what we want to do. It'll help like achieve more of what we want to. And it will just allow us to be more creative.
But isn't it nice to struggle to achieve something? Isn't it more satisfying?
Oh, you still can. Just don't use it if you...
No, that's what I mean. But that's the kind of thing that I feel like I'm slightly against, is the fact that I like the struggling to do something, to achieve something. So then when you do, it's just way more gratifying.
Yeah.
Obviously, you can achieve similar things with AI, because obviously there are some things that now you can just use AI and be like, okay, this is something. It's not the main picture, so it just makes things smoother. I mean, for me, in terms of what we do as a job, I don't feel like it's yet necessary, because I feel like we can still achieve stuff just by working together and doing it ourselves. But I do understand it's obviously important for someone who's studying at uni or is a professor or even a stunt coordinator, because he has to fucking organise everyone's, who's getting called, who's coming, flights. I mean, the whole shebang. Obviously, for at least scheduling and stuff, it can be useful. But I just feel like it's so easy to abuse.
I feel like that can be for a lot of things.
True.
And so it's like, yes, but...
But you can abuse your body in training, and that can be better. Not for me, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel I'm quite positive on it. I also don't. I like to not think so negatively on it, and it's very easy to. And so then it's like, okay, but it doesn't really benefit me, and so then I'm like.
But you're chill with it, like you don't. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just obviously we'll see where it goes. I mean, I don't feel like I can stop it.
I don't have any negative opinions or positives about it. I just know that for now, I don't need it.
Yeah.
But
I definitely feel. I think it's a tool. Like there's definitely aspects of it where like if it'll help me edit it, if it'll help me do more of what I want to do, so it'll achieve more of like if I have an idea and it makes it happen quicker, I won't be no to it. I'll be like, ooh, yay, more streamlined.
Absolutely.
Just like a lot of things in life, it's quite funny how, some things you never had, and then once you have it, it's like, oh, this is way better. And then what we used to do is shit. It's for example, this may be completely unrelated, but I have a friend in London who has a tap, and it does...
Like a tap? What's a tap?
Like a tap is a sink.
Oh, okay. I thought,
tap.
No, that makes absolute sense.
They have a tap, and from it, you can either have still water, sparkling water, boiling water. Straight from the tap. Seems so extra when you hear it. But once you have it, and you never have to boil a kettle, you never have to go out.
Mate.
Then you're like, oh, and I have to wait. So something you never thought you had a problem with, now you do.
Yeah.
So there's always going to be...
it does circle back to where, we were talking about the fact that when you get a job and it's like a big budget film, and you're travelling in awesome places and nice hotels and everything's paid for, you're earning good money. You're just
and then you do some indie project and... Yeah. And you should do a random indie project and you get paid just the right amount, but then you have to travel somewhere, the food's shit.
Yeah, and they blackface you.
Yeah. And so then, you definitely get some fun. You're like, oh yeah, but it's also just a laugh.
There was once a show, it was a TV show, and all we had for lunch was bread and salad. There were sandwiches with salad in it, and that was it for 12 hours.
That sounds rough.
Yeah.
I was very glad I did this indie project in London, and I got to double this actor for like 3 weeks.
I saw some of the clips.
And one thing that saved that project was the catering was amazing.
Yeah.
They made amazing food. We were so happy to go on set every day. We had breakfast and lunch. We were stoked.
And that's the thing. I also feel like sometimes, we're not producers or whatever they're calling you.
Great timing. Oh, is it still? No, wait, it's still recording. Okay, never mind.
You can answer it if you want. What are we on about? Food's important, man.
Food's important.
But yeah, it's absolutely important, and sometimes they do prioritize some things on set that I don't understand why they do that. But I'm not a producer, so I don't know what's good for what's the bigger picture. But I mean, it really does vary. It really makes a big difference on when you're working on a small budget or a big budget.
Yeah, but it's funny how you get used to things. But yeah, I think AI will be chill. I think it's just going to be a tool, and I think it'll pass over. Because I do think that like independent projects now becoming like they are making a rise.
Yeah, and some independent projects they're way better than films.
Yeah,
I'm watching some TV shows and films now that they're good, but like the action, it feels a bit rushed. Yeah. Instead, you see some short films and independent films that you're just like.
No, so I'm super stoked with the amount of things that because I find that
porn right there.
But I do find that now it's so much more available to so many more people, and I think AI will just make it more that people who with ideas can create more things, and that's one of the things I'm stoked about, and so that's why I'm like more excited than I am scared. I think it's just gonna make more things possible.
That's cool, mate. You've been sick. It's lovely chatting to you. Hopefully we'll speak soon.
Yeah.
Shout out your socials and whatever you want to shout out, any projects you're doing, and then we'll get out of here and go eat.
Yeah, I'm on my main one is Instagram, Dragon Stunts. I will some point do more on YouTube, maybe not now, but at some point. But yeah, I'll mainly find me on Dragon Stunts Instagram. I'm in Sweden this summer doing the Wild West Stunt Show with Otto Nyholm and Ida Bak, some legends, and some other really cool guys and girls. And otherwise, I have lots.
I need to work on this podcast. Oh, sorry.
No. But
I need to work on this podcast, but I want to interview Otto as well.
Yeah. But yeah, I have lots of ideas.
Sorry.
But I have other plans I want to do in the future, so hopefully I'll make a lot of cool shit.
You will. You definitely will. Especially with that mentality, man. All right, cool.
Peace.
See ya. Bye.